Hello and welcome to the show, Shot Callers family. I'm hype. We are 2 days away from the start of the NBA regular season. It's basically the Christmas Eve before Christmas Eve. Kyle,
Yeah,
are you matching my excitement today?
dude, I'm super excited, bro. I'm ready to put these lists together. I'm ready to get these predictions out there. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good.
If you
Cowboys
guys
just
are
got just won in overtime. Watch that too. It's
wonderful, wonderful. It's a great
yeah,
time to be a sports fan.
yeah.
If you guys are tuning in for the very first time, thank you. Welcome. If you're tuning in later, welcome to our podcast. We are the Shot Callers. Kyle and I, regular contributors. Regularly, we have Robin. Previously, in the past, I've had other hosts, JV, who is going to show up during this episode at some point. So look for a guest appearance there. Please like and subscribe. Please leave a comment if you like it or you want to contribute to our chat tonight. Because we're going to be doing a lot of subjective stuff. We'll be ranking teams, answering questions. We want your feedback. We want to know who you pick for MVP, who's the champion, who's the worst team, who you're betting on, all that stuff. Where can people find our episodes, Kyle, if they want to go back or follow us in the future?
If you want to follow us on Instagram and Twitter, we're at Shot Caller Show. Uh, were you referring to the Instagrams and stuff? Okay, there you go. Right there on the screen, follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Shot Caller Show. Uh, like he said, hit the like, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you're notified when we go live. And then also, if you want to just listen to an audio version, we're virtually everywhere you can find podcasts. We're on Anchor FM, Apple Podcast, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Breaker, Pocket Casts. So.
Hell yeah. Okay, so where do you want to get started off the top,
All
Kyle?
right. I want to get started with the playoff seeding predictions.
Got it, got it, got it. So yeah, we
Cause
we took some time and we made some tier lists for everybody, right?
yeah, yeah.
You-
Uh, since I'll go ahead and go first, and
mhm.
since your list is already ready, we'll compare afterwards.
Okay, sounds good.
Uh, I'll go ahead and start out with my Western Conference teams.
You want to go ahead and bring it up on the
Yeah, yeah,
screen?
yeah. I'll bring it up on the screen. Yeah, there we go. And I'll start out. Uh, when I did this, I started out on the top, so I'll continue with the top. All right, so starting out, the 1 to 2 seed, because I grouped it together because they're pretty close, and they can switch pretty easily.
Hmm.
But for the 1 and 2 seed, I have Utah and I have Golden State. I feel that Golden State is going to be really solid this year.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
not who I thought you were gonna have
yeah,
up there. What the
yeah.
hell?
Yeah, I feel like Golden State's gonna be really good. Curry's playing great. I mean, he just came off. I mean, it's just preseason, but in like 30 minutes, he had 40 points and like 9 assists, 8 rebounds, something like that.
He's looking as
So
hot as
yeah,
ever,
yeah, and
and you
then
definitely don't think that they want to waste a absolute flamethrower potential year out of Steph Curry. Like he's
yeah,
not ageless. You know what I mean?
uh,
He's gonna go up in age. So you want to capitalize when you can. Even without Clay
yeah,
Thompson, you got him this
yeah,
high.
yeah. Oh yeah. Well, I mean, they're gonna start the season without Klay Thompson, but he should be back, pretty reasonably soon. And then Jordan Poole's he's stepped up
As
so
much as
far,
man,
and
uh huh.
he's playing pretty good. I mean, I'm not, I don't have any expectations for Andrew Wiggins on the other hand, but he's Jordan Poole's been playing good, and if he could continue that, even when Clay comes back, I think they're gonna be a super big threat out west. Uh, why are you
Oh, I'm just
okay?
laughing at how
Yeah,
often I've been reading Jordan
about
Poole's name this
yeah,
year. Like,
yeah.
is he gonna be most improved? Like,
Uh-huh.
spoilers to come. Maybe you got him
Yeah.
picked for MVP.
The
But yeah,
uh,
like so the Splash Brothers plus Jordan Poole, like
mhm,
it's like a trio.
mhm.
Move
Dre
aside Draymond
Dre
Green.
yeah. And then so for 3 to 5, I have the Nuggets, I have the Lakers, and I have the Mavericks.
Wow. Okay.
So, uh, the Nuggets are just
So
like
are these
a,
ordered for you from left to right? Or the Nuggets
no,
the
no.
three
I
seed,
mean,
or they're just kind of somewhere within 3 to 5 is where you have those
yeah,
teams?
yeah. So somewhere in between 3 to 5. Yeah, because I mean because especially at like a lot of times, down the stretch, some teams like tank a couple games, to uh, get better seeding or a better matchup in the playoffs, kind of
Hmm.
like what the Clippers did.
Hmm.
So that's why I kind of had them in this. That's why I kind of grouped them like this. It's not necessarily in order, but it's just like the general area of where I believe they should be. Denver Nuggets, I mean, obviously, I think they're, obviously a really solid team, even without Jamal Murray. Like, they're really good out, like, even out west. Jokic coming off an MVP year. Uh, MPJ got that really big contract, and I mean, obviously for a reason because he's really good. Aaron Gordon got a max as well. But uh, I feel like you know Denver didn't make any serious moves this past offseason, but they didn't really need to. But I just feel like they're gonna be a really solid team. I know a lot of people will probably have the Lakers probably at the 1 or 2 seed in the West, but I'm not big believers in the Lakers right now. I mean, well, even right, like even down the stretch, unless like they're the overwhelming favorites out west, or if like if they're like beating everybody in the West and they're number one in the West, then I feel like you know uh, they'll be title contenders. But even at this moment, I don't think they're super strong title contenders.
Hmm.
And then even at the beginning of this season, I feel like, or I'm sure they're gonna struggle like right out the gates, like for the first maybe like uh 15 20 games, like they're gonna struggle with the fit, just trying to make it work. Uh, and then we'll see how it goes from there. But I don't believe in this Lakers squad. Like
I mean,
I don't.
ranking him third is believing
I
in
mean,
him, isn't it?
okay, well, yeah. I mean, that's a good point. But I mean,
You're
compared to
just
what
saying
a
you
lot
don't think they're going to
compare,
be a juggernaut all season long.
yeah, yeah, yeah. They're gonna beat teams on like pure talent alone. Like they're not gonna lose to a lot of these teams. But I don't feel that they're uh, finals contenders just yet because a lot of people would have them 1 and 2. So which is why I'm saying it. Why they're like even though they're a three to the 5 seed, like you know, where other people would have them in 1 and 2. That's kind of why I'm saying like, oh, the Lakers are just okay. But
Mm-hmm.
and then also I have the Mavericks up here because I feel that the Mavericks have based off of I okay. Well, first of all, Mavericks didn't make any serious moves this offseason, so a lot of people have been sleeping on the Mavericks. They only picked up a Reggie Bullock from the Knicks, and they gave away Josh Richardson, which I feel like was a good move for them because um, Reggie Bullock is a better three and D guy. I mean he's better because he's better or bigger size wise, um, which is something that Mavericks needed on the wing position. And Josh Richardson, I would say probably kind of underperformed or didn't fit the team correctly. And the other question was, the Mavericks coaching. With Jason Kidd coming in, so that's still kind of a question mark. But I think
Definitely a
it's
question mark.
yeah, I think it's a good sign at least that Jason Kidd has come in and at least, or he's addressed kind of the problems that the Mavericks had, with not utilizing Porzingis like or which Rick Carlisle did. Uh, he was Porzingis wasn't really in the offense. So if Porzingis can stay healthy and he's more, active in the offense, I feel like that'll be a big plus. And then also getting down Luca's usage rate. Um, they said all this in an ESPN article. I don't remember the writer, but uh, those two problems were kind of the big issues that I had or that were kind of plaguing the Mavericks, and they were the 5th seed last season. So I feel like if they're improving upon that, then I feel like they're gonna have a really strong year. And also, not only that, but a lot of teams are gonna be underrating them, I believe. Um, for the 6 to 8 seed, I got the Suns. I got the Clippers.
6 to 8 from a finals berth to the 6th seed.
Yeah, yeah. Because I mean, the like this offseason has been kind of weird for the Phoenix Suns because they haven't given DeAndre Ayton the max, which they should have, and they haven't extended. I think Mikal Bridges.
Oh, they
Uh,
actually just did that
oh,
today.
they
$90
they
million
just.
over 4 years for Mikal Bridges. So a little
Oh,
bit of
okay.
breaking news for everybody.
Okay.
So I think
But
I think the Brinks truck is getting backed up. They're
yeah,
getting to Robert Sarver, and he's gonna have to pay that money.
yeah, yeah. Okay, so that kind of, you know, doesn't really change my
Now
prediction that
they're
much.
the two seed.
No, no. No, I mean, they're still a really good team, but I feel like, kind of like, Ro- Robin, me and Robin were talking about this earlier, not necessarily about this topic, but people are going to be kind of on the lookout for the Suns this year, and then maybe Chris Paul, I believe he may be getting, rest, you know, load managing a little bit more this season.
Hmm.
So that's why I have them dropping this low. Then the Clippers, I need to put one more team here. I think a safe bet for me is the Grizzlies to make the 8th seed. Um, but the Clippers I have this low. While I think Paul George can do a great job of leading this team and uh, carrying this team to a pretty decent seed. I think without Kawhi, they're gonna hit a little more adversity than maybe Paul George is capable of, by himself. But the Clippers have a great solid team, and then if
Well, they
Kawhi
do, but I
comes,
mean, I can see why you have them kind of low because it's
yeah,
like, are you gonna keep going on this resurgence with Nick
yeah,
Batum?
yeah,
Terrence Mann probably could take a
mhm,
step forward because he was
mhm,
promising in the playoff run, especially against Dallas, and
yeah,
then against the Jazz as well.
yeah,
But that's a question mark. Serge
mhm,
Ibaka's back has been a big question mark for about a
mhm,
year. We don't know how long Kawhi Leonard's going to nurse this knee. He could be gone all year. You
yeah,
just don't know.
mhm,
Eric Bledsoe, everyone knows how I feel about him. I
mhm,
put a thumbs down for those listening, audio only. And then Reggie Jackson was very promising. He
yeah,
had a great debut,
mhm,
or a great showing in the playoffs last year. Mr. Clutch, like was
yeah,
kind of strange.
yeah, yeah,
Um, but is that going to add up to all season long?
mhm,
So Luke Kennard, a little bit of a coming out party for like a game or two against the Jazz as well. But you gotta. And then Justice Winslow is being a question mark. Like, is he going to
mhm,
make a NBA career out of himself
mhm,
when he hasn't been able to due to injury on the Heat and then on the Grizzlies? So tons of questions. I can totally see why you
yeah,
got him low that way. Low
yeah.
that way.
And I feel like the Grizzlies is a safe bet to make the 8th seed just because they're a really good defensive team. They haven't made any significant changes. I mean, they got Valanciunas for uh, or they got Steven Adams for Valanciunas, so I don't know if the fit is going to be really any different. I mean, they're still going to be solid defensively, like I said, but
Hmm.
offensively they haven't really changed. But I think that's definitely good enough to uh, get to the 8th seed at least. So the play-in tournament, I think, is going to be Portland. And this last team is tough because I feel like you can make a pretty good case for the Rockets, the Timberwolves. The Timberwolves could potentially have a pretty solid season. The Kings and the Spurs. Um, and
And
uh,
what is this bracket you're trying to put him into here?
the play-in
Play-in
tournament.
tournament. So the 10
Yeah,
seed
yeah, yeah.
at
So
worst.
So that kind of puts. I mean, in strong belief that uh, the Pelicans and OKC aren't gonna make the playoffs.
Hmm.
Um, but the last team to make this play-in tournament is tough. I think originally I had the Spurs, but I kind of want to put the Timberwolves just because they're all healthy at this current moment. They got back Beasley. Um, D'Angelo Russell's there, Cat's there. They got second year rookie of the year.
Anthony Edwards, man.
Yeah, Anthony Edwards. His name was
Mr.
slipping my
Perfect,
mind.
man. That guy does
Yeah,
everything. Bull, I
uh,
mean, of the teams you're mentioning, the one that Vegas has as the highest over under is the Timberwolves. Well, the
hmm
Kings are above them too, but 35 and a half. And
hmm
so the Wolves have a winning record when
hmm
D'Angelo Russell and Carl Towns have both played at the same time.
hmm
That record is 13 and 12. But 500, that gets
yeah,
you to the play-in tournament at least as
yeah,
the 10 seed. So I can see
yeah,
you put him in there. Yeah, yeah, lock
yeah.
him in.
Yeah, and then the rest will probably not make the playoffs. The Rock, you could probably make a case for the Rockets as well. They have really talented young players. Kevin Porter Jr. They got Jalen Green, who a lot of people are saying, early rookie of the year.
Hmm.
Uh, so you could probably make another case for the Rockets, and then probably the Spurs, because like it's kind of hard for the Spurs to be like bad, but just like with their, I mean, they still have young guys. They don't really have a star player anymore. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, they lost DeMar DeRozan and they didn't really get much back for him.
Hmm.
So the Spurs definitely got worse this offseason, I think. But maybe their young guys step up
Yeah,
to
that's what they're
M3.
betting on,
Yeah,
right? They're
yeah,
developing of Dejounte Murray even further,
yeah,
and their guys, Lonnie Walker, guys like that. Okay,
yeah,
so nice
yeah.
tier list.
Okay.
And it's a shame we can't really get these side
Yeah,
by side. But you want me to throw
yeah,
my East and then we
yeah,
go back to
yeah.
your West?
No, put up your
My
West.
West, sorry. Yeah. Oh
Yeah,
man, we
yeah,
always do East
yeah.
first because the East is whack. So we got to keep our powder dry. Oh, and looks like we got an addition here. Incoming transmission. What's up,
Hey,
JV?
what's up, JV?
What's up, guys?
Dang, long time no
Hey,
see. I don't think
I
I've
know
ever.
we got the OG back.
What's
Yeah,
up? What's up,
Kyle
Kyle?
and Kyle and Jonathan have never been on a podcast together. My current
Yeah.
co-host, my old co-host.
Yeah, I'm sorry about the way, guys. I was scrambling for some things, but I'm,
Is
I'm
there?
good
Is,
now.
yeah, you're all juiced up. Okay, well, before I take
No,
Kyle's off
y-
the screen,
yeah.
anything jump out to you here about Kyle's tier list? He's got them broken up by seed grouping, and I'll zoom it in a little
It's
more.
it's
This is the
not.
West.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this is
this
the
is the
Western
West.
Conference. I'm gonna throw mine up in
Yeah,
a second.
it's
Um,
not in order, but pretty much roughly like where I think the team should end up.
I think I could see it a little bit more if we knew that it. Like, I think Kyle, the way you looked at it, and I'm particularly looking at Golden State,
Hmm.
is probably where we see them ending up when
Hmm.
all said and done. Like, how far can they progress into the playoffs? I don't
Yeah,
necessarily think they have the manpower right now to get them,
The win totals.
yeah, the win totals in the regular season. So if we're
I
talking
get you.
strictly how they're going to end up at the end of the year, I could see that.
Hmm.
But as far as like where they're going to fall in the seeding, I think there's going to be some tough losses early on without Klay Thompson still, right? Because what is he
Hmm.
projected? December, if we're being
Nice.
yeah, if we're being nice. So I mean, I think we're still going to see a lot of those games that we saw last year, right?
Hmm.
Um, where teams just start, beating them on the boards and ultimately running away with it. Because I've always been a big advocate for size in the
Hmm.
post to be able to grab those rebounds, get additional possessions, and they just don't have that luxury. And they just don't have the shooters around them to shoot at that to go at that pace that they're used to, and be efficient with it.
But hey, man, addition by subtraction. I don't think Kelly Oubre's in their
Yeah,
lineup anymore.
yeah,
So
yeah. He's
less
not.
less clanks means more makes, I guess. Okay, so let me just throw my tier list up here. I don't have to build it; it's already made. So it's gonna just be a quick swap with a pink background or red. So I've got it broken up into divisions as well, but within those brackets, it's not ordered. So for those listening in, I have the Jazz as the only one I can see as the top seed. They ended with the top seed this past season. They've got continuity like no other, same coach, and we know that they can shoot a lot of threes as we have evidence of last season, with even more games this year to pile up on those bad teams. So they're definitely at the top for me. That doesn't mean I'm going to put them in my finals prediction, but we'll see. Below that, I've got the playoff participants, which means, they're ending at the sixth seed. So I've got the Lakers, the Nuggets, the Suns, the Mavericks, and the Clippers all in that bracket. I'm warmer on the Nuggets being more towards the top, um, along with the Mavericks. And then the question marks for me are how much the Lakers are going to freak out about their seed up until the last like 2 months of the season where they're scrambling to get in the top four. And then the Clippers, Kyle and I talked about how a lot is in flux for them, and they have a lot of questions around guys like Justice Winslow. We don't know if Kawhi Leonard's coming back at any point, so not sure. And then the more interesting difference I have with you, Kyle, is I've got Golden State way down in the playing tournament. They were in the playing
Hmm.
tournament last year too, and
Yeah.
they lost to the Lakers. I don't think we'll have a star-studded uh, play-in tournament matchup like that this year, but yeah, with those guys, the Trailblazers having a lot of questions. I don't think that Damian Lillard will necessarily get traded if things go too south, but he had to do some Herculean stuff closing out games to get that to happen. If that isn't quite as successful, maybe they are the 7th seed.
Is it too much to ask for Nurkic to get back to 2019? Sorry.
Maybe.
I mean,
The answer to that is yes, and I'm a big fan of the Trailblazers.
yeah. I mean, yeah. I was gonna
mean-
say he does too much for them on defense. Like they have barely improved this offseason, or they've barely made any changes this offseason. They haven't made any significant changes.
They added a new backup center, Kyle.
Larry
Nance. Yep.
Larry Nance Jr. We'll see how it turns out with him.
That's like 18 to 20 minutes a game. You know what I mean? That's not going to move the needle that much, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So yeah, big question marks. I'm sure we'll dive into them a little more later. In the lottery, I've got the Spurs, the Kangs, the Timberwolves, because I'm just not a big believer in the D'Angelo Russell pick and roll. I think he lucked out into that injury replacement all-star season, and the Nets sold high when they could, and so did the Warriors. And then he lucked out thinking that being great friends with Karl Towns, although I think Karl Towns is going to have a great year, I don't think he's going to improve defensively enough to get him into the playoffs. And then the Rockets are going to be second worst team. Spoiler for one of the questions going on the road. And then nobody is better at being bad than the Thunder. You're playing well. Sam Presti says, get off the team. Go home. Al Horford, Shea Gilgeous, you're not allowed to play anymore. We're going to pay you. So that's where I'm at. That's my tier list. Anything of note that I haven't mentioned already, JV? Or do you want us to move to the East?
I don't know the status on Kawhi Leonard. Again, I think you seeded it. You did the opposite of Kyle. I think you seeded it according to how you think they're gonna fall in the standings. So yeah, they will miss Kawhi Leonard. Some in the beginning. I mean, even on a regular basis, he does do a lot of load management. So that may not necessarily be a huge deterrent. I have them a little bit higher. Then my tier is a little bit different. I sent it to you, Rich, if you want to put it up after you guys. But then mine a little bit different. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Clippers were a little higher. But you did say playoff participants. I don't know if that's in order. Is that in order?
It's not in order.
It's not in order. So yeah, I'd say they're right in the right spot. I don't know, man. The Suns. I think you're a little high on the Suns. I don't think it's a guaranteed thing in this West.
So Kyle has them 6 to 8, and they can fall.
My biggest one where I say I just have no. I don't think I'm not nowhere near you as high as you are, or think that they're even gonna fall close to this is the Pelicans.
Oh,
I don't think I don't think they will be even in the play-in tournament. Missing Zion, I could see that being one of those things that just carries over late into the season, and then I wouldn't be surprised if they're just like so they're hesitant to even bring them in. You know, they're gonna play that. I think they're gonna play that super conservatively.
I think if I'm gonna hedge my bets, I'm gonna go ahead and say that I envision them being more towards the 10, and I could definitely see this play-in tournament not being close, as in like the 7 seed faces the 10 seed, but the 10 seed is like 37 and the whatever the rest is 37 and 50 or 37 and 48 or whatever it is, 43, like a negative record going into that play-in tournament, where people are going to be like, well, then shouldn't there be like a proximity in games for that to even happen? It's going to be an embarrassing play-in tournament this year is kind of what I'm thinking. So
they didn't bring in the proximity from the
bubble. Yeah, that didn't happen last season, and it's not in effect this season either.
Hoping
so I would think
something they'd adapt to. I think we had that conversation.
Yeah, we had a conversation offline. Let's jump over to the East. Kyle, you want to go ahead and go?
Yeah, I have my.
He's been building it on the stream, so
yeah,
we're gonna live look in here.
So this, all right, the 1 and 2 seed is really obvious. Okay, the Nets and Milwaukee, like there's no question there. You disagree? What do you think?
I don't know how obvious it is for the Nets to be that high.
No, I think it's super obvious. Like I think KD is gonna be a sleeper for MVP. And they still have James Harden, and if James Harden is healthy, which he is right now, I think, and they have a solid team around them, I think they're going to be. I mean, depending on how much KD and Harden rests.
Dude, they got Patty Mills, man. There's no drop off between James Harden and Patty Mills changing on the floor. They don't even need. They have Kyrie Irving insurance all over that roster. LaMarcus Aldridge came back.
Yeah,
Marcus
yeah.
Aldridge.
I know that was a little weird to me. I thought it was weird that he came back. I thought he should have just stayed retired,
Hey
but or,
man,
just for
don't hate
I
on his
mean,
love of the game.
well, no, I'm not saying that. For his own good.
He used to be his biggest fan, by
like
the way.
yeah.
Yeah, you want him to be healthy for sure. Yes,
Yeah,
I understand, but I mean, he already said he got medically cleared. So anyway, fill out the
but
rest
yeah.
of that bracket, Kyle.
And then, well, I guess we'll talk about Giannis a little bit later because
Yeah, he's definitely gonna come up.
yeah, the 3 through 5 seed. I think it's pretty okay for me to say Atlanta. I feel like one of the reasons why I mean they got the 4th seed last year and they had a pretty bad start to the season. So I feel like they'll get off to like a better, more solid start. And I think, the 5 seed or higher is a pretty safe spot for them. I think another team that's going to be really good is the Heat. Obviously, they don't have Victor Oladipo, but they've made some solid changes, and I think they'll be a lot better offensively than they were last year, while remaining solid defensively. And the next one, I think I had the 76ers, but the 76ers is just like a huge question mark. Like we don't know what's going
Yeah,
on. We
it's
don't.
like a storm of
Yeah,
bad
yeah,
feelings in there.
yeah,
Like the
yeah,
city of brotherly love is
yeah,
totally the wrong thing to call
yeah.
that
Absolutely.
to call that city and that team.
I was gonna say I'm expecting. Okay, Ben Simmons. He came back to. He's trying to participate in everything. If he participates in a home game, like I'm expecting the crowd to boo him. Like the Philly crowd, like New York is like savage. Like they're
Man,
ruthless. So
this may be the first time I've ever done this, and you're right, they are ruthless, Kyle.
Yeah.
It's gonna be fun to watch. JV, tell me if I'm wrong. Is this the first time I've ever said this? I think the East is more compelling than the West this year.
No, that's not the first time you said it, but I don't agree.
Oh man, dude! No, I don't know, but these teams that Kyle's bringing up right now, the Hawks with the young guys coming back from injury, Cam Reddish made his debut, DeAndre Hunter coming back, Kevin Huerter got some playoff reps, Trae Young, took the world by storm. They added Timothé Luwawu Cabarrot.
So they did?
Yeah,
I missed that.
I'm hot on them. Everyone knows I've liked the 76ers for a long time. Kyle Lowry going over to the Heat, the Bucks looking supernova. I don't know. I'm up. If it's not that I think they're more compelling. I think both sides are actually compelling as opposed to years where the East is definitely outclassed.
Yeah,
having only 2 really good teams and then the rest.
All right, for the 6 through 8, I think I have Chicago. I mean, okay. I'm gonna reference the preseason, but obviously the preseason isn't everything. But in the preseason, they were destroying teams, or they destroyed the Cavaliers and another team. I can't remember who it was.
And the Mavericks destroyed the Hornets by 50 points. So
Yeah.
obviously, there's your finals picks.
It was 68.
That's what you're mentioning, right, Kyle? That's what you're saying.
No. Come on. But no, I think they're going to be really good offensively. We'll see how good they are defensively. They could still probably solid. Like I believe if they have a high-powered offense, to be have a good seeding in the East, they've got to have at least an average team defensively compared to the rest of the league. And if they can do that, like they're going to be a strong team, I think. And the other team that I have here, I think, is the Knicks. The Knicks are going to be pretty good. I don't know if they're going to be good enough to be here, but I think they'll definitely be good enough to get here. And I think the other team, it's a little, kind of tough, but I think Boston is talented enough to get into the 8th seed at least.
Yeah, they just had so much trouble rebounding, man. And
Yeah.
Al Horford coming back,
Yeah.
he's definitely a smart, savvy player, but he's getting older, and he's never had really high rebounding totals. That was always something that JV got onto him for. Can you get more than 8 rebounds? Is what JV used to say.
Yeah, and then also Robert Williams III. He's had some injury issues that he's been dealing with.
Yeah, which is frustrating, man. I love watching him. That dude,
I do
this guy for all the blocks, Time Lord.
But I think Boston is probably going to be better than what most people think, because I feel like most people thought Boston was going to be really bad. Because they because they lost Kemba Walker, and I mean, which is probably a good move for them.
And dude,
I think,
the number one thing for me about Boston that gets me most hype, and it's nothing to do with physically within the grid lines of the court, is that their coach Ime Udoka is saying, "I need you guys to not whine to the refs every time you don't get a call. Let me whine to the refs, and you guys just play the game." I love that. I hate seeing Jason Tatum always whining when he doesn't get the call that he thinks he deserves. Marcus Smart flopping all over the place, pleading his case. Jaylen Brown doesn't do it as much as the rest, but that is so annoying to me. And I've always wanted a coach to flex a little bit and say, hey, look, I'm putting the onus on you guys to perform and be the captain of the ship. And so just for that reason alone, I'm tuning in. See if he's all bark and no bite.
Mm-hmm. The play-in tournament is a little bit tough. However, I think the Hornets will probably for sure make it, but the other team is kind of tougher. I mean, you could have the Pacers. You might I mean, it's because like none of these teams are like significantly better than the other, except like the Magic, which I expect to miss the playoffs. But the thing is, the Hornets were pretty solid last year, and I feel like they could be, even potentially better this year. But I don't know how much better it is to compete with these other teams. So that's why I have them in this spot. And then the other team I think will probably just be the Pacers, and the rest I don't have making the playoffs.
Oh, sorry, Cavaliers. Sorry, Raptors.
Yeah.
And your point on the Pacers, like you can't add a coach with championship medal and expect them not to make the playoffs. At the very least, like they're going to get to the first round. Carlisle's gone to the first round so many times, even if he hasn't gone past that since the title season. He's creative and is going to find lineups that work. Domantas Sabonis is too good. With good health, I think they're going to make it for sure.
Caris LeVert is really solid. Malcolm Brogdon. Miles Turner is going to be, give you some defensive stops. I mean, so I feel like they'll be solid, but I don't know how they'll stack up to these other teams.
Do you want me to flash mine over?
Yeah, go ahead.
Hold on 1 second.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know how to feel about the 76ers, man. I think there's so much uncertainty there.
Yeah, it's weird.
There's a certain level of chemistry that needs to happen. I think if realistically, if there's a trade that happens early on in the season, they could easily fall in the top 5. As far as Chicago goes, I feel like, you mentioned their defense. It's a little suspect at times last year, but I think Alex Caruso is very underrated when it comes to his defense, and he defends the most important position on the floor, in my opinion, right? The point guard position. So that can provide that spark, right? That additional turnover per game, that additional, flashy fast break move that
he's been getting them in the preseason already.
Yeah, exactly. That kind of stuff gets the team rallied around him. And I mean, if you look around, he's got one of the best mid-range shooters in the game, one of the best mid-range scorers in the game next to him now, DeMar DeRozan, right? So it allows him to distribute in more ways than one. I'm not saying DeMar DeRozan and LeBron James are the same person, but when you think about it in the way that they score and the spots that they like, he's used to a guy like that, right? It doesn't necessarily need to space the floor and then find the guy in the corner to shoot the corner jumper or anything like that. So I'm really high on Chicago. I think their defense will improve with the addition of guys like Caruso. And I'm just really excited.
Let me ask you this.
I'm starting to kind of see what Richard's talking about with the East. As I hear you guys do this tier ranking.
So let me ask you this. The Raptors obviously were disappointing last season, but they are a team that has good overall individual defense, smart defenders. So their defense is solid, right? Even if they don't have the stars to put the ball in the bucket. Would you say that the Raptors defense is good? The Bulls last season ended with a better rating than the Raptors did. So that means that they're not going to be bottom 5 in the league on defense, even if nobody is overall great.
Yeah, even if you look at Vooch, right?
That's what I was thinking of.
If you look at his defending, career-wise, he's an above-average defender. I think it's just something we don't look at because he's been like the number one option in Orlando for so long. We look at his offense, right? And Orlando's never really in the mix. So again, we don't look at him and say, hey, he's strong defensively because he has to do so much on offense. I'm sure that's the big contributor. But even then, he is an above-average defender. now he's in a position where he's like the fourth option on offense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they have the dynamism of Zach LaVine to play off
and
of.
So it allows him to rest on offense, if that's a thing, right?
Yeah.
So that he can play tougher on defense.
Just ask LeBron.
We're definitely gonna see some of that. So yeah, I see a lot of promise in the Bulls, and I think it's just it's not misfits, right? It's not a group of misfits. But it's a group of guys that are kind of in that second tier. Nobody talks about them as MVP contenders. They may or may not be all-stars in any given year. But nobody really thinks, okay, these guys can win a title. Like, is there a single guy on there that anybody says, yeah, they can lead the team to championship? But sometimes it takes, a group of those guys to get together and win a title. I haven't seen it since 2004, but
yeah,
that's what I was thinking of too. Yeah, I mean, once every 15 years, 18 years, that's so much to ask.
I was gonna say I'm happy you brought up Alex Caruso because I wanted to say something about Alex Caruso, but I was scared Richard was gonna play me like, you're buying into the
hype, the Lakers hype.
The Lakers hype. But I was like, no, he's actually looked pretty good with the Bulls so far.
Okay, so let me flash mine over, and I'm gonna ask y'all for your thoughts right off the bat before I go into any explanations. Boom.
All right.
So anything jumping out that you want me to explain?
I would have thought you would be higher on the Raptors. I would have thought.
Yeah, I would have too, because I was just defending them to you like 2 weeks ago when we were talking offline. But I can't really get there.
I'm actually higher than you are on the Raptors.
Yeah, I mean, getting the 11 seed is better than the 14, 15 seed that they're slated on, and like Vegas has their over-under at. Where's the Raptors? They have them at 35.5 games. I think they can get to like 36 wins, but with the competency, 6 through 10, where these teams all seem to have a baseline, I think they could just be on the outside looking in. Although there is something to be said. I would love to be wrong. JV knows I'm a miniature Raptors fan. Scraw! But, we know this. So I could see OG Anunoby, my favorite player to watch, defending and playing on offense with some isolation. Pascal Siakam is injured, though, so that's kind of tough. The tip of the spear, Fred VanVleet, as I like to call him, he is undersized. So how far is that going to get you when you need to generate your points? His will can get him pretty far, but how far can it be? So that's kind of why I'm a little cool. And so this is not ranked within their tiers. Even though I got him at the end of the lottery slot, I would really probably put them up more towards the top of that one. I've got the Bucks and the Nets 1 and 2 up there. 76ers, I don't think that they're going to be the 3 seed. I think it's more likely they can be the 5th seed. But I definitely don't think they're going to slide into the play-in tournament because that's just how good I think Joel Embiid is. I think he's going to have a solid season as far as health concerns go. And whether or not they play Ben Simmons, who did practice with the team, spoiler for later, or they trade and get something in return that can be put on the floor and be useful, I think they're definitely gonna show up. I'm high on the Celtics. I'm quite high on the Bulls, going along with what you guys were saying. And then the Heat, as much as I like their team, and I think one of their players is gonna have a major year. I'll get to that a little bit later. I'm not sure how they're going to go as far as like load management, how healthy they might be with Kyle Lowry being conservative. He's getting a little bit older. Jimmy Butler is not 27 anymore. He's on the other side. I think he might be 30, 31.
Yeah.
And then as much I like the Knicks, I've got some promising predictions for them later too. But with everyone getting strong, are they going to be the 7th seed, 8th seed, and still consider that a successful season? And then the Hornets were trending towards a play-in berth before the injury to LaMelo. So I think that's going to hold firm. And then I'm not going to grace these other Eastern Conference teams with any airtime because they got to put some floor time together that's worth watching, and then they'll get some airtime.
Richard wants so bad for relegation to be a thing.
Oh yeah, I don't know if y'all noticed that on the other tier, but on my bottom tier here, it literally says relegation. Yeah, the bottom team, just put him in the G League, baby. Sorry, Dwayne Casey.
Dude, I don't think the Pistons will be that bad.
I mean, last season they were 20 and 52. Yes, what are you talking about?
Well, no, they were bad, but they got some more young players, and I think they'll be better. I think the Cavaliers potentially could be the worst team.
No, they could be all right, bro. Because Darius Garland playing all right.
Yeah. I like Darius Garland.
Getting more young
stuff.
players usually means L's, Kyle. Usually.
Yeah, usually. We'll see how good Cade Cunningham is, but
yeah. Oh, you're right. Yeah, Motorcade. That's one of the coolest nicknames that have come out in recent years. Well, JV, we were doing the top 75 ranking, 75 through 26 last episode, and I had a bunch of nicknames slotted off to the side, and Motorcade is definitely one that is up there with the cool ones over the years.
It's pretty cool.
Motor City. Yeah. Do you want to send me that tier list of yours, JV?
Yeah.
You can.
Go and check your Discord. It's on there.
Okay. Yeah, I'll pull it up right now. And let's see. While we do that, can you guys just quickly give me your MVP predictions?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
You wanna go first?
Yeah, I'll go first.
Yeah.
First. I think this man is gonna become enshrined into the Hall of Fame the moment he hangs up his basketball shoes. And I think we're gonna see a player dynasty, Rich. We've all heard of the football dynasty. What does that mean?
It means lots of victories.
Football 3 championships in 4 years.
Yeah.
I'm going with my man Giannis Antetokounmpo with his 3rd MVP and his his individual dynasty of his own when it comes to those MVP titles. I don't see anybody having the work ethic and the talent mix that he has. And if we watched him in preseason, he seems a lot more confident with that jumper, and it actually looks smooth.
I was just about to say that.
The very threat of him being able to pull up is
a
dangerous
complete
for the
player.
league.
He would be complete. Like,
so I just can't see. He's like a strong KD if he can do that. Obviously, he's never going to shoot as well as KD, but just the mere threat, Rich. The mere threat that he can pull up, and if he gets a guy to even slightly, try to put a hand in his face or fall for a pump or something, it's over. It's
like
over.
If he goes 7 for 11 on jump shots in a game and is doing the putback dunks, blocking everybody, like, you can envision any coach on any opposing team just throwing the clipboard in the air. Like, what the hell do we do with this guy?
Exactly. And for how great he was when he won his first 2 MVPs and the runs he's made, even the run where even the run where they lost to the year the Raptors won, things like that. It looked like that was a promising year. Every year has pretty much looked promising for Giannis, right? And then to have him resign and people questioning that decision, right? Because he could have waited till the end of the season to do so. The conviction to make that kind of decision while most other superstars probably would have waited to the offseason tells me that he was in a different mind frame and a different mindset, right? To say, hey, it doesn't matter where you put me, I can win a championship. And I'm going to stick to the people that have stuck around me. And he went and did it, right? People like to talk about, the way the season was played, etc. Who cares? It's a championship. And that all being said, the way he played in that last game of the season, somehow he took it to another level.
A capstone.
Yeah. When you talk about iconic moments, I don't think I'll ever forget that block, right? That weak side block on DeAndre Ayton. Like, only he could do that. And so that's my prediction. The Greek Freak.
Kyle, if you want to give us a quick prediction, I know you have to go, right? You have to take off early.
I have like a couple more minutes. I probably have like 5-10 more minutes before I have to go.
Okay.
I want to see my tier list.
Oh yeah, let's put the tier list up. We got it right here. JV went ahead and added both sides to each.
Yeah, mine went a little different. So I went ahead and said where I think everybody's going to land when all said and done, right? So I like, where are you going to be when the chips are on the table? How far are you going to get? How far is your team going to take you? So if you're a fan of any of these teams and you're wondering where your team's going to end at the end of the season, here you go. I want to start off at the bottom. I think it's better to start off at the bottom. Guaranteed lottos. Go ahead and get your ping pong balls ready. If you're a Cavs, Wizards, Magic, Pistons, New Orleans, Thunder, Minnesota, or Houston fan, I just don't see a way for any of the teams to make it into the play-in even. I don't see the Thunder. Half of these teams were well below 500, and I think it'll continue that way. The Pelicans, I brought them down quite a bit. It's probably the biggest dip on this list. And that's because they're not going to have Zion, and I feel like they're going to nurse that very, very conservatively. I don't see him coming back soon at all, particularly because the surgery was not that long ago either. This is one of those that's gonna, this is one of those that's gonna go well into the season. So that's why I have them there. In the next tier, playing potential, I still think the Knicks have a solid core. I still think, they're one of those teams that plays well in the regular season. They kind of fizzles out towards the end, but I think they have a strong core. I think Julius Randle's for real. I think he'll be able to carry that team to an additional, every time in baseball, they call it wins above replacement. That just means, if there was another power forward out there, how many more wins the average power forward was out there? How many more wins does this guy get you? And I think, for a guy like Julius Randle, we're talking, 8 to 10 wins. And I think that's enough to get them into that play-in territory. You just got to get to the 10 seed, Rich, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm. More teams make it than don't.
Yeah, the Hornets, I like the backcourt. I like PJ Washington. You thought I was going to say LaMelo. Nobody forgot about my boy PJ Washington. He's no longer got baby mama drama. And we've got LaMelo Ball, who is going to make, a strong sophomore campaign for one of the – he's going to be a definite leader in assists, right? He's just a huge facilitator, all the flashy passes, etc. And I think he's got enough offense around him to keep them in contention in several games that otherwise we might have thought they'd lose. And that'll be enough again to get them into that 8th, 9th seed. The Pacers, I'm really a huge fan of Sabonis. I got to see him play live. Again, another guy that if you talk about wins above replacement, he's going to get you just enough wins. He's going to squeeze out that additional 2 or 3, 4 or 5 wins. Enough to get you into that 10th, 11th conversation. The San Antonio Spurs, they're just a very well-coached team. They've proven over and over that they can win games just based off not fucking up.
Yep. They don't shoot themselves in the foot.
Yeah, exactly. We will win enough games just because we're not going to mess up. We're not going to make dumb mistakes. The Kings, Tyrese Halliburton. Oh, my goodness.
I love that guy.
Mm-hmm. Be ready. If you guys have not heard that name, Tyrese Halliburton, young guard, that's going to just take the West by storm. Just not going to be enough because he just doesn't have enough people around him. Marvin Bagley Jr. is looking like a humongous bust, unfortunately. Man, was I wrong about that guy when the draft came around. But I think they'll be close enough again for a play-in. Just got to get to number 10, right? First, second round exit, right? I've got the Grizzlies. Ja Morant. I love Ja Morant. What they did last year was honestly impressive. They kind of hit a slump at the end, man. That was just kind of unfortunate, right? They were in a position to control their own destiny, and then it just kind of fell out of their grips.
Yeah, but they still gritted out through 2 play-in rounds and then ran into the buzzsaw of the Jazz.
Yeah, so I can see them getting back into that mix. I think they're going to be one of the 8th or 9th seeds, and again, they'll be able to handle the play-in game, but then get bounced by one of the top dogs. The 76ers, I cannot think of a bigger deterrent for a team's potential coming out than bad chemistry. And it's happening when there has not been a single minute played by Ben Simmons, your second best player, probably now third best, right? Or fourth best, depending on which end of the bench he's sitting on. I think Tobias Harris, is still a really good partner for Joel Embiid to get, that offense going. Maybe now Joel Embiid will be allowed to do a little bit more with a less congested paint. The Phoenix Suns were a strong regular season team. They ran into the right teams at the right time, though, guys. I'm sorry to say that. Sounds shitty because they're the Western Conference champions, but I feel like they just ran into the right teams at the right time. There might be a good regular season team again, but I can see them likely running into one of these teams that you see right above them, and I'll spend some time talking about them. The Hawks. Hot take coming.
What's the hot take?
Trae Young has hit his full potential already. I don't see him elevating to another level unless he increases his defense, but I just don't see his offense going much higher. I just feel like teams have figured out how to put him into uncomfortable positions, and the shootings display that he put on during the playoffs, once a decade, man. It's because one of the things where you're being streaky and you're hitting the right streak. So that's my hot take. I feel like where he's going to regress this year, or he's hit a ceiling at best. Portland Trailblazers, a little bit of a little bit of a homer choice. Not that that's my team, but I've always been a huge fan of the Portland Trailblazers, and I am banking on Nurkic becoming better, despite what I said earlier. I think that team will get back to a position where you've got one of the best backcourts in the league. Nurkic gets going, easy, can playoff lock in. The Raptors, I see them being an 8th or 9th seed, but then getting bounced in the first round as well. Richard, that's one of those teams that's just pure. They're gonna get there on pure athleticism. These motherfuckers are built like none others. When you have to talk about Siakam is out till about early mid-November. I looked at their schedule. 6 out of the first 10 games is Washington, Indiana, and Orlando. So I think they'll be good to start off the season. And then after that, those two big men can lead them the rest of the way. Very, very high on Chicago Bulls. I don't think they can make the conference finals, which is why they're not on the next tier. But man, the Chicago Bulls, I spoke about them a little bit earlier. Alex Caruso brings a lot on defense, but also in the sense of energy, right? Gets the team going. He's very much that cheerleader player, right? And that's a good thing. That's not a bad thing for anybody who thinks that's praise. Gets the team going, and like I said, got good mid-range shooting with Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan. Like, you got to kind of pick your poison there.
And Vooch can shoot too.
Vooch, yep. And then Zach LaVine is capable of killing you from the perimeter as well. Conference finals, I have the Mavericks. I feel like the Mavericks didn't get worse, right? Didn't get worse. And in last year's situation, they went 7 games with one of the best teams, in my opinion, in the league, and the Clippers at full strength.
And Kawhi Leonard was as hot as anybody could ever be.
Kawhi Leonard was on some other shit that time, that series. And the Mavericks still, took them 7 games, and it wasn't a super close 7, but every game leading up to that game 7 was immensely close. They brought back all their guys, and I think they're just going to try to make a run again, right? It's one of those teams where it's like they're going to try to outscore you every night. Not a recipe for a championship, in my opinion, but still fun to watch, and it will still make it very difficult on their opponent. Boston Celtics, man, that's just one of those teams where it's like it's a young group of guys who has all the talent in the world, and maybe a new coach is the answer. We'll see. That's all I gotta really say about Boston. I feel like every year they have a chance to make it to the NBA Finals. They proved that Jason Tatum's rookie year, right? Maybe a change in coach will help. The Miami Heat, 2 years removed from an NBA Finals, and I think they have one of the best locker room leaders in the sense of making sure that people don't lose focus in Jimmy Butler. Mm-hmm. And I'm saying it right now. I don't know if this is on the agenda because I forgot, but comeback player of the year, Tyler Herro. Did you hear what he said the other day? People were shitting on him for comparing himself to Trae Young and Luka and all them. Mm-hmm. May not be as good as them, but I think he's got that chip on his shoulder. And I think he's going to prove people that he is for real and that he will make another splash in the league. So I'm excited to see him pop off.
Comeback player of the year is not on the docket, and it's actually not a reward or an award anymore, but we're adding it. Comeback player of the year.
Comeback player of the year. The Jazz are probably the most sound team on this list when it comes to, from 1 to 5. Everybody, works together. They know how to swing the ball. They play team basketball. What we used to say about the Spurs, you could say about the Jazz now. And man, it just seemed like they fizzled out. It almost seemed like a mental thing, last year when they lost. It almost seemed like a mental thing because they had the tools to make it happen.
It seemed like a mental thing in the bubble too.
For sure.
When they lost against the Nuggets in those crazy games.
Yeah. Conference finals, the number one, and this actually is kind of in order, guys. But the Golden State Warriors, I can see them making the conference finals for the simple fact that if they get Klay Thompson back, even if they get him back in December, January, I think they have just enough to be in the playoff picture. And remember, this is when it's all said and done, right? So you hit that reset button, the playoffs start, top 8 teams in each conference. The Warriors have the firepower to make the conference finals, but I think they'll fall just a little bit short to one of these teams at the top. The Nuggets, right? I think the Nuggets, they have the Joker, who's an MVP. They're always one of those teams that's like a 1 and 2. They have a high-powered offense, one of the fastest paces in the league. Nobody really thinks about them as being a fast-paced team, but they actually are. And we're gonna have Jamal Murray, right? The idea is that we'll have Jamal Murray for a playoff run. I think they were just shy of that from making it happen in the bubble. The Brooklyn Nets. All I'm gonna say is if he takes his vaccine, they're an easy favorite. So that's the only reason why they're not like higher in this top 5. But it's a 50-50, so I'll throw him in there because if he says, hey, yeah, let's do it, and he can play everywhere, they have 3 of the top 10 players in the league.
And there could also be an act of Congress or something.
Yeah, something
change
happen, right?
the mandates in New York.
Exactly. The Lakers, I feel like they got better, right? They have, some of the same players that helped them win that title. They got them back again. They got Rondo, who just happens to get hot during the playoffs. So last year they were just plagued with injuries. So I have to put them back up there, right? Because we have to see what they look like at full strength. But I do think they got even better. The center position got a lot of depth, right? They got a lot of depth at center, so that allows Anthony Davis to play where he's more comfortable. The Clippers, I feel like, should have won the title last year had they not had those injuries. I really think even though the Mavericks gave them a run for their money, after that, I think the path was clear for the Clippers to win that championship. But when you lose, your best player or one of the best players in the league, it's damn near impossible to win a championship. And then last, but definitely not least, why would it be least, right? I got them at the top. The Milwaukee Bucks, they're going to go back for that run back, I think, until somebody knocks off the champion. There's no way I can put somebody above them. They're the best team in the league last year, and they got the best player in the world. Yes, I said it. Giannis Antetokounmpo is the best player in the world until proven otherwise. So that's my list.
Oh, yeah, bro.
That was a lot.
Yeah, it was a lot. And when you say that's how it's going to shake up at the end, it definitely, you can see all those scenarios coming into place. And we only have, an 82 game regular season to get through to see how these things pull forward and shake out. I disagree with you on the Trae Young part, but everything else sounds pretty sound. Even if he plays, it is hot. But even if he plays at that ceiling, I can see them going a long way. If that is the ceiling.
I agree with most of the stuff you have here as well. I feel like you have Phoenix a little bit too low. Well, I mean, actually, no, I'm looking at it. Yeah, I think you're right.
And I'm glad you pointed that out, Kyle, because that is why I put them there, right? Could they make the conference finals? They were just in the finals, but again, like I said, I feel like they just got the right teams at the right time. I just feel like that's kind of how that went.
On Portland,
that's not a knock.
That's not a knock.
On Portland, I mean not Portland. On Phoenix, it's kind of a thing. If like they'll be good if kind of Mikal Bridges takes another step offensively, and same thing with DeAndre Ayton, because I feel like Devin Booker, he's really good already. I mean, he just needs to improve his 3-point shooting a little bit, and then he'll be good. But I feel like Phoenix's success is gonna lie mostly on those 2 players. I feel like you have Portland a little like 1 tier too high, because I feel like it's gonna take a lot for Damian Lillard. I mean, CJ McCollum, like I love the dude, but I feel like
sailed for you, Kyle. Do you think they need to move on somehow?
Yeah. They need to move on somehow with either CJ or Dame. Because I mean defensively, just defensively, like they're just not good in my opinion. And last year they were like one of the top rated offensive teams, but they were one of the bottom ranked defensive teams, and it took a lot for Damian Lillard to. I mean, Damian Lillard had one of the best playoff games of like for like the past 10 years, and they still lost because his team let them down.
What a ridiculous game that was. It's worth saying it again. But man. Okay. Well, thanks for taking us around the league. That was fast. Kyle, is this where you want to
let me just say my MVP real quick.
Okay.
For me, the MVP is pretty tough. I mean, I wanted to say Giannis. Or Giannis is definitely up there for me, especially if he's a consistent jump shooter. Like, it's gonna be so hard not to give him the MVP. But I think Curry's gonna be up there. I mean, Curry has been like a lot of people's that I've seen MVP.
Well, they were talking about it last season, even though he
Yeah,
had like
yeah,
the 8th seed or whatever.
yeah, yeah.
Ridiculous.
So it could be Curry. I feel like a lot of people are sleeping on Kevin Durant as well, but I guess
Well,
that
it's
kind of
tough with all the
depends
star
on.
power, right? You know,
Yeah,
takes
it's not
it
just
away.
that. If we look at last year, there was just so many games where it was like, which one of the three is gonna rest? You know, it was
Yeah.
like I see a lot of that happening again. I
Yeah.
could
It's
see
a
that.
carousel.
Yeah, so
Yeah. I definitely agree with you that if Kevin Durant rests a lot, then he probably won't win it. But
So
I heard. I mean, I watch Bobby Marks. He's a reporter.
ESPN.
He's good with like he keeps up with a lot of cap space stuff. He says that he thinks that Kyrie Irving's played his last game with Brooklyn. Like he doesn't
That's
see him.
definitely possible. But what's
Yeah.
crazy is they can't trade him. No
Yeah.
team wants that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
he's threatening to retire if he gets traded, which is crazy. And so,
Uh,
what was your pick for MVP?
KD, right?
I can't.
No, you
I
didn't
mean,
say.
I mean, honestly, I have to go with Giannis. Like
Oh, okay.
it's like everything JV said was pretty much right on the money for me. Like, and then like he's won 2 MVPs already. And Jokic won the MVP last year, so it won't it won't be like fatigue. Like, oh, like Giannis has won 3
If
MVPs already,
if
and then
Giannis won MVP and a title this year, he would
yeah,
be jettisoning himself
yeah,
past Hakeem Olajuwon territory into
yeah,
Shaquille O'Neal territory, and like
yeah,
that echelon. Like that's like
yeah,
you're knocking on the Jordan door of
yeah,
that
yeah,
level of the pyramid, which
yeah,
is ridiculous. What is the pyramid shaped
yeah,
like that?
yeah.
Real quick, does anybody feel like we've moved back towards wins to determine the MVP award?
MVP?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the only one that was the outlier was Russell Westbrook in that
Yeah.
crazy season where he
What seed were
triple-double the first time.
what seed were the Rockets?
They were the 5th seed. The Rockets when they won
the James Harden year.
they
I
were
think
at
they
least
were
the 2 seed.
third.
2 seed. Okay.
I
At
thought
least
they
the
were.
2 seed.
Oh,
I'm glad that it's back to normal.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
yeah,
Breaking the system. I want to give you all my pick real quick. I won't spend a
Yeah.
lot of time on it, but I could see Jokic going back to back, especially if he has the narrative of not
Yeah.
having Jamal Murray for a lot of the season, and then the Nuggets get up there in like a top 2 seed. Despite that, making Michael Porter, take another notch up and being fit. Like that's his conditioning has been a question for some reason. Oh, obviously, because of his weight in past years. But when you saw his
just how he
endurance and
looks.
stamina in those playoff rounds, and then in the coming couple seasons, the bubble, past seasons, just being slim, his condition is no longer a question whatsoever. And if he's going to be slim from the start of this season, like the sky's the limit. He can still body dudes around. So that's all I got to say is he could definitely get that MVP. That guy does things that literally nobody else does. He has vertical passes to big men. He just drops it downward in vertical space. There's a Z-axis and a Y and an X with him that other guys don't have.
Sleeper pick, Luka.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. That's another sleeper pick too.
Didn't want to be a
Yeah, for
homer,
sure.
but yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Okay, so
all right,
Kyle,
I'll catch y'all later.
Okay,
All right,
Yeah.
go.
All right,
have a nice, bro.
All right.
Later.
All right, so we can go through these as quickly or take as much time as you want to, but I'm going to go down that rundown and we'll see
We can run
what
through
the
it.
answers are. So we mentioned this already. Who will be the teams to make the finals, and who do you have winning the championship? Who's hosting that, Larry OB?
So the teams that I have making the finals, I'm gonna have to go with the top 2 teams I put on that list, man. Clippers and the Bucks.
Clippers, Bucks,
Clippers
man.
and
Okay,
Bucks.
so
Yeah,
it's
Clippers,
gonna take a lot of coalescing
Mhm.
for the Clippers to make it. So you're not
Yeah.
gonna pick them to win the regular season in terms of seed
No,
necessarily,
no, no.
but they're
I
gonna
think
go up.
I think Paul George can. I mean, I think he showed that in the Western Conference Finals. Paul George in that Western Conference Finals showed why the Clippers went and got him and why Kawhi wanted to play with him. Right? He's not second tier. He's not 1B. He's in between those two somewhere, right?
Yeah.
Because I think your 1Bs are like Jokic, right? Even Jokic is a 1A now that he won the MVP. But your 1Bs are like
is he like 1C?
Yeah, there you go. He's a 1C. Yeah, that'd be the best way to put it. And he showed that in the conference finals, right? I think he definitely willed that he willed that team to at least one additional win that might not have happened without him kind of elevating himself. And then he had that tough loss with the missed free throws, right? We'd be singing a whole different tune if he hits those free throws. So you can say that both ways. I think most people would say, "Oh, that's not clutch. Paul George isn't clutch," but it was literally riding on him like the entire game. So we can't hang our hats on those two missed free throws. It is unfortunate, and people will remember that part of it. But let's remember the other 46 and a half minutes, right, where he was just balling out and keeping that team in there.
Yeah, and I think he's gotten, he's earned his stripes as far as mental toughness because he struggled in the bubble. He mentioned it. We give him props to guys like DeMar DeRozan and Kevin Love for getting over some hurdles for themselves regarding mental health, which is great. But I mean, join the club, Paul George. He's gone through adversity, and I would think he's going to come back even stronger. So I could definitely see that happening
for sure. So I think that'll make the difference in the regular season. It'll get them somewhere in the 4th or 5th seed, right? Maybe 6th. I don't think they're in any danger of being in the play-in. And even if they were, they're gonna smoke whatever team they run into. It's just gonna be because by that time you're gonna have Kawhi, right? I mean, hopefully, right? That seems like an adequate timeline.
I just know they are really hoping that they can get Serge Ibaka back in some kind of playing shape by then. His back has been killing him for a long time.
Yeah.
My teams that I've got the Nets.
And I've got the Bucks winning that, by the way.
The Bucks winning. I've got the Nets triumphing over the Bucks in their pre-finals matchup, going to the finals and facing the Nuggets, which kind of goes along with my MVP pick, making a Cinderella run. Maybe the teams break the right way. Maybe we see a Herculean effort.
I could see the Nuggets being the team to beat the Clippers. I could see that being the Western Conference Finals. Oh man, that would be a hell of a Western Conference Finals. Can everybody just be healthy? Like,
I don't know.
If we get that, can we just be like both? I don't want to hear like if Game 5 Jamal Murray was there, or like I hate hearing that. If that was the Western Conference Finals, can they just be healthy? And I don't care who wins.
But in the bubble season, we had like a 5-week or 2-month break between March and whenever it started up in like June, right?
Yeah.
And some players were healthy for the bubble that were not healthy at the start of the season or at the end of that breakout. So can we just get like a 3-week pause so everyone could just nurse their broken toes and then go into the playoffs?
That's actually wouldn't be a bad idea. And not to get off topic, that's what I was telling you about the playing game, man. That's 2 extra games. That's
for sure.
That's tough for that 8th and 7th seed. Yeah, dude. Yeah, I could see that for sure. I mean, I got the Nuggets pretty high up there, along with the Lakers. Man,
we kind of
can we skip to the playoffs?
I wish, but I mean, I'm so pumped for this Tuesday matchup, man. We spoiled this already in our tier making, but I have it here, the worst teams in the league, and I put this in here just so I could make that joke I made about Sam Presti resting healthy guys so that they could tank with the best of them. So that's definitely the worst team in the league for me. You can go in a rotation as to who you think else would be worse.
I'll go with the Rockets just because they were already the worst team in the league.
And they're sitting John Wall, in case anybody didn't know that, you're not going to be seeing John Wall.
Yeah, so you're not getting any better. Like
them, the Detroit Pistons. So
Pistons.
Yeah, good thing we got that out of the way. I did pull up Vegas Insider and sent over the picks. Who do you have, or the odds for over-unders? So where the teams are locked in as far as betting, where they're aiming to be as far as their win total. Who do you have as the lock to beat their over-under rating this season?
Dude, they got the Bucks at 54.5. Go with that. They can win 60 games.
Yeah, definitely. That would not be a surprise. Those guys, I mean, even with Giannis playing 29 minutes a game, they can still run the score up on anybody for sure. And with the defense to boot. So, it's an easy one. Yeah. The one I have is the Knicks, man. 41.5. That means they're just betting on them to go 500. That's what you're doing. They were 41-31 last year. They got Kemba Walker to take some shots. We know he likes to shoot at the end of games when he's available. Evan Fournier can kind of get the ball moving where they couldn't before with Reggie Bullock and guys like that surrounding Derrick Rose and Julius Randle. So they got another kind of pseudo creator. So just put those things together, add more games to the season. I think they easily exceed their win total, even if they go down in rankings.
Are we doing the under too?
Yes. Who do you have to get the under?
So I did have the Miami Heat doing well second round, but I'd go under 48.5. Yeah.
Not getting all the way to their seed that they might want, even if they do well in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So I have the Pelicans. They're rated at 39.5. We already mentioned that Zion has that fracture. New coach Willie Green, assistant on the Suns. The last time the Pelicans took an assistant coach from a finals berth team was Alvin Gentry. Now we know how that went. Not a lot of success. They had one playoff berth when they got Boogie Cousins on the squad. Yeah. So is it going to repeat itself? That's just what I have. I'm not saying anything negative about Willie Green, but there's growing pains oftentimes. Just look at the guy that they.
I think that's a good one too.
There's guys that the guy that Rick Carlisle just replaced in Indiana. They said get out of here.
That'll be a close one. I feel it'll be a little bit closer, even without Zion, because I think there's enough talent in guys like Brandon Ingram. Again, to squeeze out those additional wins. So I think that'll be a close one, but I think you're right. I think they'll probably fall in the mid-30s.
This next one we have up here, very subjective. Who is the most fun team for you to watch? And I think we're going to bar the Trailblazers from your answers.
Oh, man. I had them locked and ready.
Go ahead. You can talk about the Trailblazers if you want to.
So the Portland Trailblazers, any given night, Damian Lillard will put on a show for you guys. And on the occasion that he doesn't, that boy CJ McCollum will put on the show for you. Mm-hmm. So you can't miss. You can't miss if you tune into a Portland game. They play late, guys. So after you're done watching your home team,
we need more California time zone teams.
After you're done watching that home team of yours, you can bet that the Trailblazers are probably still playing, and they're probably in the third quarter. Within striking distance, probably losing. They like to be behind, but that just makes for better TV because Dame time's coming. Dame time is coming.
For sure. And if the on the note of them being on the late games all the time, like I used to get tired behind the Clippers again. I'm tired of watching the Clippers. Back when Blake was on the team, the Warriors, I'm so tired of y'all. But if the NBA ends up expanding, Seattle, Las Vegas, that's 2 more late time zones. For you
they should call them. They should call them what the team in the NHL is called, the Kraken.
Oh, dude, that's a sick one.
That's a kick-ass name. Yeah. That's a
all right. So, most improved player. Who's your pick for most improved?
I
that's
said
kind of like your comeback player of the year, huh?
Yeah.
So, which is pretty cool. I have the same player, Tyler Hero.
Yeah.
I got him.
Baby.
Yeah, exactly. I got him. So he's got Kyle Lowry on the team. Doesn't have to do pseudo creating anymore. He can be the recipient of those passes. Benefit from the attention that Jimmy Butler provides. The spacing and the gravity. I think Bam Adebayo is going to have a bounce back year, and he likes to assist and fill up the stat sheet all over. So I think all these things are positives for him. He's had a full off season. I don't like to make a lot of excuses because everyone has had a full off season, not just Tyler Hero. But that bubble run, he played all the way until August or whenever that season ended. July. It was August. And then coming around and playing the shortened season, 72 games. Now he's going to get a taste of what regular NBA life is like. I'm up on it. And that really leads into my next question was, who did you have making your first All-Star appearance? Oh, but I wanted to give my honorable mention. Michael Porter Jr. has not been on everyone's radar for most improved, but he could totally do it. Even though he's been competent, skilled, but doing it over the course of a whole season, I could see him being a second star legitimately and winning the most improved.
I'm glad you mentioned him. In my somebody invited me to fantasy basketball, and that was like my stretch pick, if you would call it, right? He was going like in the 7th round, and I was like, I'm taking this man in the 5th round.
Yeah, for sure.
Michael Porter Jr. Yeah, that's a good one. Who will make their first All-Star appearance? I think LaMelo Ball makes his All-Star appearance this year.
Popularity for sure.
Yeah, popularity. He'll be top 5 in assists, I feel like. And he gets just enough points to be on the highlight reels.
Yeah, dude, with the announcer that they have over there,
exactly. At the very least, with his flashy passes, he'll be in the highlight reel. And if they win, I don't see why he wouldn't be an All-Star.
Yeah, so I have if Tyler Hero's gonna have the breakout year, I could definitely see him making it on like the second injury replacement. Depending on what happens with the guards, if they're healthy or not healthy. So that's a little bit of a stretch, but if everything breaks the way I'm predicting, I could definitely see that happening. Yeah. This one's going to be a little spicier. Which playoff team from 2021 do you have missing the dance?
So, are we counting the teams?
So
I meant to ask you
the
this.
9-10 seeds don't count as
The
making
9th
the
and 10th
playoffs.
seeds don't count as making the playoffs. Okay, so if I had to pick a team that's gonna
So
make,
they can make the play-in and then lose, and they've missed the playoffs. In this question.
Okay, so the Wizards.
Oh wow, yeah, dang,
yeah, the Wizards, man, for sure. They were actually the 9th.
I forgot they got smoked. Man, what an easy pick.
Eighth, I think, yeah.
Oh, actually, I have that written right here. Easy pick, Wizards.
Wizards.
Spicy pick, Portland Trailblazers. Because like,
Oh.
what if they break the team up, man? Like, that's definitely
So
gonna happen.
yes, they would have to hit a major slump at the beginning of the season. I'd be interested to look at their schedule a little closer. I'm just really hoping for Nurkic to bounce back. Just become don't even play defense. Like even if your defense doesn't get better, can you just be a threat on offense? Like I feel like in that series against oh my gosh, drawing a blank right now. After they
2021 playoffs?
Yeah.
When they played against the Nuggets?
I think it was, yeah. Well, anyway, he was like a no-show, man. He was like a no-show. I think he averaged like 6.5 points. And yeah, he came off of that ankle injury, but that was 2 years ago.
Well, yeah, and he had some personal trauma going on with his family as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you just never know. Yeah, the NBA is a wild league. Sometimes earthquakes happen. Sometimes teams get traded, broken up. That's definitely emergency podcast territory.
It's gonna be heartbreaking if the Trailblazers break up.
Got broken up. The Mama's boys. Yeah. I know they don't live together, but I feel like CJ McCollum and Damian Lillard, room at each other's places sometimes. So whoever sells their property in Portland and moves away, the other one's gonna be like, "You always have a room at my place."
Where's CJ's vineyard at?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe that tells us. Yeah. Okay, so we kind of alluded to this earlier, but kind of a silly but topical question: who do you have money on playing in an NBA game first? Kyrie Irving or Ben Simmons?
Ben Simmons. Yeah.
As Andre would say, Big Ben.
Yeah, I can see Ben Simmons weaseling his way into a game. And them just being like, fine, we're get in there. We're gonna have to pay you anyway because you showed up.
What if they get traded for each other?
Who's the GM for the Nets? Because I can call him and tell him how to make that.
Sean Marks. He used to
play for the Spurs. I'm thinking about this backwards. Who is the GM for the 76ers?
Oh, that's Daryl Morey, who used to be
Daryl
the
Morey.
GM of the
I think he's smart enough to.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
No, yeah, I think Ben Simmons, because I think Ben Simmons, he will get paid if he shows up. So I think at that point you're just like, okay, go play a minute.
Well, and he's already practiced. Yeah. So
Kyrie Irving's like, I'm not gonna play.
It's going to take an act of Congress. Like, they're going to have to change regulations for that to happen.
Yep.
Well, is there that's the end of our rundown. Is there anything you wanted to get off your chest before we end this episode and we talk just a smidge about the opening night games?
I'm looking forward to see what happens with the rule changes when it comes to the perimeter shooting. Not being able to throw your body into certain players. What that does for offenses. Obviously, we're going to see our team's going to, not for offenses, for defenses, is the defender going to be more willing to, contend a great shooter like Steph Curry a lot more.
Thompson.
Because at that point, it's like you'd rather him drive, drive. I'm okay with you taking it to the hole as long as you don't take this 3-point jumper. So we'll see a lot more bodies probably flying. I'm cool
Which is cool. I like contact. Cool I like when there's not a whistle. I like when there's a little bit of a scramble. The next thing I need them to do is basically get rid of the intentional foul to stop a fast break. However they have to do it. Like, I really want that to be the next step because you want athleticism.
You could treat it as a
clear path every time. Or off ball, yeah.
Off ball, yeah. I mean,
whatever we can do to get the to just get the motion up and
down
the court.
Both of those things have the same repercussion. What we just said.
Yeah.
The fast break and the away from the ball foul. Yeah, they both do. They both give you the same, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Same sentiment. Combine that with whenever a shot clock violation goes off and the opposing team gathers the rebound.
Oh God!
Just let it keep going.
The best rule change ever.
Make it smooth, man. Less stoppages.
Yeah, Yeah, that would be one of the best rule changes.
The NBA needs to take after the NFL and just being like, okay, sometimes things are going to get missed. Just keep playing. You know what I mean? And they've actually reduced some timeout or reviewable situations already. So
yes, so you can only review within the last 2 minutes. And it has to have a challenge, right?
Or it's something along the lines of
because not
the
every
coach can no longer challenge this.
No. I think it's out of bounds calls are only reviewed if they have a challenge. They don't review every single one.
Oh, right. Yes.
Yeah,
yes,
they
yes.
don't
That's
review.
what I'm talking
they
about.
don't review normal ones.
Less litigation. Don't
that's-
tread on me. Small government.
And last but not least, bring back the ninja headbands.
Oh, dude, I know. I have one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So let
nice.
these guys play in them. Yeah. So opening night is on Tuesday, 6:30 Central. Nets Bucks. Woo! And then after that, Lakers Warriors. Like, you couldn't ask for more star power in a matchup.
I got my lanyard for my. I've got my lanyard for my Vax card ready, so I can get into the Mavericks games.
Nice.
So I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to some live basketball again.
Yes, it's going to be terrific. Okay, well, JV, thank you for joining us. It's been like old times.
Yeah, no, it was great.
And, yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Shout out to Kyle. A shame Robin couldn't be here on this particular episode, but if you ever want to stop by, talk some hoops again, the invitation is always open.
Oh yeah, for sure. Make sure you follow these guys on Twitter at Shot Caller Show.
Oh yeah. And then we'll have this up in audio form as soon as we can. Please like, subscribe if you're watching this later on. Twitter and Instagram at Shot Color Show. We were able to consolidate the tag, so it's exactly the same everywhere.
Yeah,
Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts,
Stitcher, Breaker,
Pocket Cast. My name's Rich. This was JV. We are the Shot Callers, and we will catch you guys next time.
Deuces.